All right. It's Friday. It's the second week of April, April 11th. Let's give a little update where we're at, where I'm at, where the gym's at when it comes to our body composition this year. So, last year, I ended up missing my goal of getting down to 12% body fat by the end of the year. At the end of last year, when I weighed in January 21st, I got my InBody right here. I was at 14.2% body fat. The goal by the end of last year was to be in that 12% range and didn't make it. So in January, when I weighed in, I had to, evaluate some changes. And these are the changes that I made. I've chatted about it a few times, but just to revisit it real quick, what I ended up doing, I was still eating around 2,400 calories per day roughly. And it wasn't moving the needle. So from October, my birthday, 14.8% body fat, to January 21st, 2025, 14.2% body fat. Muscle went up a few pounds, went from 96 to 99 pounds, but which is cool. Stoked about that. But body fat really wasn't changing much. And as you guys know, I ate a really clean, unprocessed food diet. So, something had to look at things. And what I ended up doing was cutting fat down and increasing carbohydrates. Kind of the inverse of what you might think when it comes to weight loss and fat loss. So the reason being, I do train 5 to 7 days per week. 4 to 5 of those days are pretty vigorous, including weightlifting, our group classes here at the gym. And then I do mix in some bodybuilding stuff and then very specific interval stuff and zone 2 work. So I get roughly, anywhere from 6 to 10 hours of intentional training per week. And what I decided, increasing carbohydrates can help me feel better, train better, recover better from my training. And that's exactly what happened. Increasing my carbohydrates from, 100 to 150 grams per day to 200, 250 grams per day. My workouts ended up being a lot better, and I ended up recovering from my workouts a lot better. So day-to-day training improved. And with that improvement, calories staying the same, I've managed to go from 14.2% body fat to current body fat as of April 4th, 10.7%. So that is close to I think, about almost 8 to 10 pounds of body fat gone. And that was the goal. So body fat is a little bit below where my goal was, and I'm pumped about that. So objective 1 was to reduce remaining body fat. I wanted to get down to a lean body fat composition for 1, metabolic health, and 2, looks, physique. It is a 40-year-old goal of mine to not have a dad bod ever again in my life. And I wanted to get that goal. And I'm there. On the downside of this, is I am now at what the bros would call victim weight. I'm at 195 pounds. So to not be a victim weight in the bro science world, I got to get back to 200 pounds. So goal 2 in this objective is to gain 5 pounds of lean mass, gain 5 pounds of muscle. And I managed to maintain muscle pretty good during this, 99.4 pounds in January to 100.1 pounds. So maintaining muscle with that kind of weight loss is pretty difficult to do, and we managed to do it. So now the next goal, which is I think going to take me a lot longer, is going to be add 5 pounds of muscle while keeping body fat between 10 and 12%, right? That is my long-term health goal, is to maintain my body fat between, 10 and 12%. because I do believe I have a lifestyle now that I can sustain that. And that's taken, a few years to develop and to build those habits eating wise and understanding my caloric needs for training and so forth. So going forward, to do this muscle gain and not gain body fat, because traditionally, if you're trying to bulk up and gain muscle, you're going to gain fat, and then you cut the fat and you keep the muscle, and it's this bodybuilding cycle of bulk and cut, bulk and cut. I'm looking long-term health, so I don't want to go through these waves of dramatic body composition changes and potentially subject any sort of metabolic dysfunction while I'm trying to gain muscle, because it's easy to do to, kind of eat like an a-hole and to gain muscle, but you're going to gain fat. So my goal is to relatively maintain fat around this level and add 5 pounds of muscle. So as far as my macros going forward, what I'm going to try is to do 240 grams of protein per day. This is going to be a little bit challenging for me. So there's another 40 grams I need to add into my regular daily protein intake. We're going to keep carbs at 210, maybe 250 grams of carbohydrate, and then fat roughly 65-ish grams per day. So percentage-wise, that's about 40% protein, 35% carbohydrate, 25% fat. And that's going to be where we're going to start here next week with gaining some muscle while maintaining body fat. As far as training goes, I am not planning on changing a whole lot of how I train. I'm going to continue to progressively overload lifts, following our percentage work in group class. And also I'm going to increase a little bit more leg volume from a bodybuilding standpoint, with some more eccentric loading on the legs, because I feel that the best place for me to gain some mass is going to be in my legs and my butt. Always trying to grow a bigger butt. Who isn't? I want that rump. But in general, I'm just going to stick to training the way I already train and increase a little bit more leg, quote unquote, hypertrophy work in my extra training that I do, maybe twice a week. I might even flirt with working 20 rep back squats. My only caveat there is with my back, and doing that in a meaningful way, but also keeping my back feeling great, which it has been. So objective 1 for 2025, lose 8 to 10 pounds of fat. Objective 1, check. We're there. Now maintain that. Start chasing objective 2, which is gain about 5 pounds of muscle, and then live around that 200 pounds for my long-term health. That's kind of my goal, to do that from ages 40 to 50 and see where we end up in a decade. But that is my thought process. That is what I'm working on right now. As a gym, we are killing it. Not everybody's weighed the month of May. We're going to get everybody in the gym to re-weigh from our January weigh-in. And so far, with 74 people tracking their in-bodies, we've lost 281 pounds of fat and gained 49 pounds of muscle across those 74 people so far. We should have over 200 weigh-ins in May. That's about half of our gym population. And I'm excited to see those numbers. Just a reminder, our goal as a gym is to lose 1,000 pounds of fat in 2025 and gain 300 pounds of muscle. And I think we are well on our way to crushing that objective. So I'm proud of you guys. If you got questions about anything nutritionally, training, recovery, so forth, if you're a member of Double Edge Fitness, I'm happy to be a resource for you and always here to help. So I love you guys. And have a wonderful Friday.